Welcome to another informative episode of the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam question series on Exam Tricks and Tips channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to get regular updates on new episode releases. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 16 of AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam question series. We'll be covering question number 91 to 95 in this episode. So let's get started. Question number 91. Which AWS services or features provide disaster recovery solution for Amazon EC2 instances? Please read the question, look at the options, try to find the correct answer. You need to select two answers here. So here is the markup. This is a debate question, and I'll come to that later while we're discussing the options. Let's go by elimination technique so that we can narrow the options and then choose the right answer. So the first one is option A, EC2 reserved instances. Whether you use EC2 reserve instances, a spot instance, or on-demand instance, that has no impact on disaster recovery solution. So I don't think that's the correct answer. So we rule that out. So let's talk about a little bit about the context of this topic here. We need to figure out disaster recovery solutions, and disaster in this case would be loss of a data center or an availability zone. In that case, what options we have, and what does disaster recovery means? Something has gone wrong, whether it is a power outage or an accident due to which your servers are not anymore available and your business service is down. If you are an e-commerce website, then due to the accident or the disaster or the situation that has happened, your website is down. Now, from the point of the service going down to you bringing it back again, that whole process is disaster recovery. Longer it takes, you will lose business, you lose customers. If you're talking about an e-commerce website, if your website is down, people would go for an alternative website and you lose customers, maybe just for that instance, or you might lose them forever to the website that they've gone for. So your objective would be to keep this period to minimum, and depending on various backup strategies or the disaster recovery strategies, you could it's a trade-off between the cost required for disaster recovery versus amount of time you actually take for bringing the system back up. So you'll have to look at those options. We will also go through the disaster recovery strategies later on, but that's what we're looking here. Your service is gone, and in the context of Amazon EC2 instance, what would you use as a disaster recovery solution to bring your service back and make the business service available for the customers? So that's let's resume option evaluation, and I would like to eliminate few more before we can zero on the right options. Amazon Guard Duty. Now, Amazon Guard Duty is used for threat detection and security of your environment. It's nothing to do with disaster recovery from an instance failure. If your EC2 fails, Guard Duty is not going to help in recovering it back. So that's wrong as well. So we rule that out. The next one, which appears to be wrong, yeah, let's look at option D. So option D, AWS Shield. Now, AWS Shield protects your instances from DDoS attacks. So it's overall protection mechanism. It will avoid a disaster from happening, but it will not help you with the disaster recovery. So Shield is wrong. Again, it's a protection solution rather than a recovery solution. And we are left with two options, and we need to select two in this case. And that's what we will evaluate now. First one, Amazon AMIs. Now, what are AMIs? So AMI is a pre-configured virtual machine image that contains the operating system, application software, any other component. So basically, you have a complete picture of what your servers would look like. And these images then can be used to replicate servers or services or infrastructure in case of disaster recovery. So disaster has happened, you got your new server, and if you have to design and configure the server from scratch, it would take longer time. Whereas when you have a template, which you can just use and spin up machines as you need it, as per the pre-configured template, it will be quicker. And that's how this particular service comes into help. So option B is a correct answer. It will speed up the disaster recovery process because you have a pre-configured templated server configuration. So that's correct. And then the last one, EBS snapshots. How does that help? It does help in case of disaster recovery. So EBS snapshots provides point-in-time backup for your EC2 instance volumes, including operating system, application, and data. So if you have a particular application running your website, e-commerce website running on EC2 instance with EBS snapshot enabled, then in case the disaster happens, you can go to the last available snapshot and use that snapshot to recover your servers and the data and the application. So depending on how frequently the snapshot has been taken, you will have less loss of data. Plus, you have your application and the complete image of your point in time image of your application and data, as well as your overall business situation, including data, is available, which can be recovered. So this is the correct answer. One of the reason I called this to be a debate question is, if you go through different forums and refer to different other materials, some of the people have marked AWS Shield as one of the answers for this, which is absolutely incorrect. We are talking about disaster recovery solutions. So the assumption here is the disaster has happened, the servers have gone down, whether it is a minor situation of rack going off or a data center going off or availability zone, that has happened. From that point onwards, what are the services in the context of EC2 would help you? So AWS Shield, if other people are mentioning this to be an answer, I disagree with it. And in fact, every time I see a debate question, I would post it on the community page of YouTube to get feedback from all of you guys. So what do you think? You can write in the comments of this video, what do you think about question 91's answer? Is it B and C, or is it B and D? That's it on the discussion of the questions. But I would like you to go to a couple of reference pages from AWS. So here is the first one. This is a disaster recovery options in the cloud uh, documentation, and it does talk about various disaster recovery strategies: backup and restore, pilot light, warm standby, multi-site active. And from left to right, the time for disaster recovery and the data loss reduces. So in case of backup and restore, I won't go into details, but just in a summary, in case of backup and restore, we're talking about you are taking backup of the system maybe on daily basis, maybe on hourly basis, and it's kept somewhere offsite. So when disaster happens, you go take that backup, restore from the backup. But there would be time taken to do this activity, and it could be in hours. And the best solution you have is your multi-site active, where all your applications, all your data are made redundant. It's being replicated across multiple servers and sites. So in case one server goes on a particular site, the other site would be able to cater. Obviously, it's going to cost a lot. So as you can see, the time taken for recovery from left to right reduces from hours to say real time, whereas the cost increases from left to right, because in order to bring in those redundancies, make sure backups are more frequent, is going to cost you in terms of servers, resources, infrastructure. But it's a good read. I suggest you should go through this page once, and you'll find the link for this in the video description. And there's one more reference documentation I would like you to go just to understand the terms in disaster recovery solutions. RPO, RTO. In nutshell, RPO is amount of time you can tolerate the data loss for, and your recovery time is, since the disaster has happened, how long it takes to recover the system. And ideally, you would like to minimize both RPO as well as RTO. You want to minimize the data loss to the point of disaster, that's RPO, and you would like to minimize the downtime of the system after the disaster has happened to minimal. So it's a good read again. Very important documentation. I think this would help you in other questions as well related to this area. So that's it on this question. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 92. Which AWS service provides command line access to AWS tools, resources directly from a web browser? Please go through the options and highlight the keywords. So here's my version of keywords. So you need a service that AWS provides, which provides command line access to AWS tools and resources directly from a web browser. So web browser is a key. I think we have done a similar question, which was about command line, but not about a web browser. So let's go by elimination technique. The first obvious wrong option to me is option A, AWS Cloud HSM. It's a hardware security module. It's used for encryption. It's a security solution where high-grade security solution. We are actually using a cloud hardware security module for encryption and security rather than other tokens and other mechanism. But it's not. It's nothing to do with the command line interface or access. It doesn't help you provide access to AWS services at all. So it's an incorrect option. We'll rule that out. Option A is ruled out. Option C, AWS Workspaces. We have recently done a question around this, and AWS Workspaces is a virtual desktop service for cloud-based desktops. If you want to give cloud-based desktops to your employees, you can use this service. It's nothing to do with a command line service. Now, obviously, it is sort of a use case that you are accessing a resource, but it's a specialized use case of that resource, which is Workspaces, and it's not a command line environment. So that's gone. The third one, wrong, AWS Cloud Map. Yeah, this is a service is used for discovering and managing the cloud resources. It's not a command line access tool at all. So that's gone. And we are left with option B, which the name itself suggests, Cloud Shell. Most of the AWS service names nomenclature has been done such a way that you would be able to guess the purpose of that service based on the names. And here the name is Cloud Shell. It kind of hints that it's a command line interface. So this one provides a pre-authenticated browser-based shell environment directly within the AWS Management Console. It eliminates the need for installing or configuring local command line tools. So if you have this, you don't need any local command line tools. You can use AWS's service that they have made for this purpose to get access, command line access to the resources. So this is the correct option for this particular question. So answer to question 92 is answer B. We have seen some new terms here in this particular question. So I would like to leave you with some reference documentation from AWS for this. So the first one is Cloud SSM. This is a managed, it's a cloud-based hardware security module solution. You can go through it, how it works. I think there is a video on this page. You could go through that as well. But is just to understand, instead of having hardware security module from outside, AWS is now providing a cloud-based hardware security module that you can use for encryption purpose. So that's reference one. Then the reference two, another new service we learned, Cloud Map, which is it's a service discovery solution from AWS for cloud resources. Please go through this as well. It's a good read, and go through this short video that could give you a quick overview of what this service is all about and its benefits. And yeah, I think that's it. We've covered all new services from a reference perspective. That's it on this question. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 93. It's a very wordy question. A network engineer needs to build a hybrid cloud architecture connecting on-prem to AWS cloud using AWS Direct Connect. Company has few APCs in a single region and expect to increase the number of VPCs to hundreds over time. Which AWS service or feature should the engineer use to simplify and scale this connectivity as the VPCs increase in number? Please pause the video. I think you need to go through this question in detail. Networking questions are generally difficult that I have seen, and sometimes like this, quite wordy. Here is my version of markups. It's quite dense question. There are a lot of keywords here. But in nutshell, what we have here is we have VPCs, and the engineers want to increase the number of VPCs, and they are looking for a solution to simplify the connectivity. This one is tough one, but we can use elimination technique to reduce the options and then choose the right one from whatever is left. So the first one, obvious wrong to me in this particular scenario, is option C. Option C, Route 53. Route 53 is a DNS solution. It's used for managing domain names and traffic routing on the internet, not designed for hybrid cloud connectivity with Direct Connect. So we can straight away eliminate that. That's incorrect. The next one, again, this is very wrong. AWS Secret Manager. AWS Secret Manager is used for managing and securing API keys and passwords. So whatever secrets you have in AWS world, you can use the Secret Manager service, and you can use it as a locker for managing your secrets. It's not used for connectivity purpose. It's not going to connect VPC. So this is incorrect as well, wrong. So that has made our life easy. Option C and D are gone, and we are left with two other options, which are networking related options. So here is where difficult bit starts. We have VPC endpoints and AWS transit gateway. So VPC endpoint are useful for connecting VPCs, definitely. So you cannot just simply eliminate it. You can use this for connecting VPCs to AWS services in secure way. However, they wouldn't simplify or scale the overall connectivity to on-prem network through Direct Connect. So that's where this solution fails. It's definitely a connectivity solution, but it won't, there is a requirement, as you can see in the question, that we want to simplify and scale this connectivity as VPC numbers are increasing, because it's going to get very complicated. So we need something which is going to create a bridge between VPCs and your on-prem network. And that solution is your AWS Transit Gateway. AWS Transit Gateway acts as a central hub for connecting multiple VPCs. So you can connect VPCs with it, on-premises networks, and other services through a single gateway. And that's the important bit. Single gateway will simplify the overall architecture. So if you have multiple VPCs and you have to connect all of those, instead of having a mesh network, you will have probably one single network where every VPC is connected to your transit gateway, and the transit gateway is connected to your on-prem. It simplifies the connectivity. It provides a single central point of contact for all hybrid connectivity needs, and it reduces the complexity of managing numerous direct connections and routing configurations on VPCs. It's very flexible. It allows integration with various service endpoints within the VPCs, including on-premises network and other AWS regions. And it's highly available because of the redundancy it offers and fault tolerance across availability zones. In order to simplify the connectivity solution for multiple VPCs, connecting it to on-prem network, having something that is simple and can scale and highly available, AWS Transit Gateway is the perfect answer. So that's why we select this option. Now, as I told you, this is a tough one because these two services are first of all new to us, and they do appear uh, similar, and they are part of a larger use case of connectivity and connecting VPCs. So it's a tough one. So please, I would encourage you to revise this. Also, read the documentation around this, which I will cue to now. So first reference piece of documentation is AWS Transit Gateway. So as you can see, the high level use case is connecting Amazon VPCs, AWS accounts, and on-prem network in a single gateway. So this line itself will tell you that this is a connectivity solution and you use a single gateway rather than having multiple connections. There's a short video here as well. I would encourage you to go through this in order to solidify your concept of this particular service. So that's AWS Transit Gateway for you. The next one is VPC endpoints. So there is a reference white paper here. You can go through it and understand what VPC endpoint does. But in the first couple of lines, you can see it does enable customers to privately connect supported AWS services to VPC endpoint services. However, this one is not as available or performant service, or doesn't simplify your overall solution as AWS Transit Gateway does. So that's the reason why we haven't selected it. So yeah, that's it on this particular question. Let's move on to the next one. Question number 94. A company wants to assess its operational readiness. It also wants to identify and mitigate any operational risk ahead of new product launch, which AWS support plan offers guidance and support for this kind of event at no additional charge. Please read the question and mark your keywords. Here is my version of the markups. The main keyword here is identify and mitigate operational risks. So we need a service which would help us with this. And we want to do this at no additional charge. I have given specific emphasis on no additional charge. We don't want to pay anything extra on top of what we are already paying. I think this is a very simple one, and I believe this is a trick question. If you look at option A, C, D, they are all chargeable services. They're not free. And I'm going to rule those out straight away. And that leaves us with one single option, which is AWS basic support. You would say, how would basic support then? Okay, it's free, but how would we identify and mitigate any operational risk ahead of a new product launch? We just need guidance and support for this kind of event, and we want it for free. If you want to use basic support and do it, operational readiness assessment, it's not explicitly mentioned in the plan, but basic support does offer access to AWS Trusted Advisor. So you can use the Trusted Advisor service that is available as part of your basic support for checking the operational readiness and assessment. For risk identification and mitigation, you have AWS Health. So you have a service which can then help you for risk mitigation. You can identify and mitigation of any operational risk using basic support using these two services. You can use Trusted Advisor, you can use AWS Health. So indirectly, you're doing what is needed in this question, and you're doing it for free. So my take on this is that the answer to this question is option B. That's the correct answer for this particular question. According to me, it is a trick question. I would encourage you to put comments around what do you think about this particular question. I don't think any of this, if you go for business support or any other chargeable service, you're not going to do this any better. So basic support is the correct answer for this. But happy to hear from all of you regarding what you think about the real answer of this particular question. Here is what's included in each of these services. So if you go for basic support, you can see the cost is free and what is available. Whereas when you go for developer support, business support, enterprise support, it's paid. So you're obviously paying additional cost on top of the basic support cost. Let's move on to next question. Question number 95. A company wants to establish a schedule for rotating database user credentials, which AWS support will support this requirement with least amount of operational overhead. Please read the question and try to find the correct answer from the available options. This is my version of keyword markup. So we need to rotate database user credentials. So we need a solution for managing rotating user credentials. It can be database or otherwise. What in AWS world you would use to manage your passwords, manage your secrets? I think you got the answer, but we will go through the options and eliminate the wrong ones, and then we'll see what's the correct answer. Option A doesn't do anything to do with secret management or rotation. It offers some automation capabilities for managing the system resources. So it is wrong. It's not a solution for secret management. I will skip over the next one. Third one, which is option C, is another wrong one for me. As the name suggests, AWS License Manager It's a license manager solution for software licenses, not a credential management or a secret management solution. So that's gone. Option D, managed services. Now this is another service like System Manager. It's a comprehensive managed service offering, but it may not be able to cost effectively or flexibly manage the secrets. So this is another incorrect answer. Option C, license manager, is wrong. Option D, managed service, is wrong. That leaves us with the last option, AWS Secrets Manager. And as the name suggests, this is a service to use or manage the credentials or passwords. So option B is the correct answer. We'll select that. Option B is the correct answer for question number 95. We have seen some new services in this particular question. So we'll have a look at the reference documentation for each of the services. The first one being the answer itself, the secret manager. It centrally manages the life cycle of all the secrets. I would encourage you to go through this particular documentation, also go through the video to understand the use case for this particular service. The next one is AWS License Manager. As we discussed, it is used to manage your software licenses. So you can offload all the licenses that you're using in your application. You can put it in this particular license manager, and it would give you reminders around when the license is expiring, when you can renew. And I believe that's the end of this question. And I believe that was the last question in this episode. That brings us to the end of this episode. I will see you in the next episode of this series soon. If you like the content and want to get notified when I release the next episode of this series, then please subscribe to this channel. This is Exam Tricks and Tips. You're watching the AWS Cloud Practitioner series. See you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.